Hello everyone and welcome back to our series of GamePad Onlne industry interviews. My name is Nigel. I'm the co-founder of mayamada and the organizer of the GamePad Onlne event. And as hopefully you know by now, I've been speaking to professionals from the games industry to get an insight into their journey and the work they do today. So my guest right now is Shanzay Usama from Square Enix. Shanzay, welcome.
Thank you.
Cool. So you're the...
I never know what to say after someone says welcome. Do you just stop at thank you?
I don't know. Some people stop at thank you. Some people can go on and then start answering questions that I haven't asked yet. There's a scale. But thank you is cool. I'll accept that. So you're an assistant producer at Square Enix. And yeah, like I say, we're going to get to know a bit about your journey to Square Enix. And the work you're doing right now. So this might be of interest to a few people watching right now. Before we get into it, just to remind people that you can let us know what you think in the stream chat. We also have our Discord that is available. You can jump in there, follow on the conversation after the interview. And as always, you can reach us on social media. We are at mayamada. Let me try that again. At mayamada on Twitter, at mayamadatees on Instagram. There you go. And we also have our Discord. So as we do with these interviews, there will be an extended version of all the interviews that we have today on YouTube at some future date after the event, probably the week after the event, once I get all the editing sorted. So you can check that out as well. Let's get to know our guest. And so Shanzay, when we were setting up this interview, there are a few things that kind of struck me. That one is that you mentioned you had like a non-traditional route into games.
Sorry, yeah.
But it's quite funny because the more people I talk to, the more I realize that the non-traditional route seems to be the route. So we'll see how
people, right?
Yeah.
Like I think half of our team is like not from video games. They just ended up there at some point.
Exactly. So yeah. I guess we will find out how non-traditional your route is. So I'm going to start at the beginning or near enough and ask, did you always want to work in games? And a key thing I like to also add on to that is, what did your parents or family think when you decided you did want to work in games?
Good questions. I didn't know the video games industry existed when I was in school. Like I played video games. I grew up playing video games. Like the N64 and the Sega Mega Drive are obviously the best consoles of all time.
N64. But actually, yeah, no, I will agree with. I won't argue. No arguments from me. Continue.
Okay, cool, good.
Yeah. I
also,
just had to check
do you
that.
pronounce it Sega or Sega? Because I still don't know. But... Okay, I think I've been told I'm wrong. So whatever I do say, just assume I know the answer, but I'm saying it wrong.
Okay, apologies to any Sega or Sega employees that are watching.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I grew up playing games. I didn't realize that there was like a whole industry to it because they don't tell you that in school, right? Like in school, you can become like a lawyer or like a doctor or a dentist, and that's about it, right? Especially if you're a person of color. That's also what your family knows, right? Accountant. Yeah, exactly. Both of my siblings are accountants. So, well, not technically accountants. They did their AC. Anyway. So yeah, I didn't realize it. So I went through a very weird route to get here. Do you want me to go through some of my route?
Yeah.
Maybe summarize
it? The highlights.
The highlights.
Yeah.
Okay. There are a lot of highlights. That's the other issue. So, at school, I was really good at science and languages and like those kind of things. So I knew I wanted to go to I had an aim for particular unis. My brother went to UCL, so I wanted to go to UCL because I'm weird and a copycat. He's the one who played video games, by the way, growing up, and I would watch him. Like it was my own personal Twitch channel at home. You know how like a lot of us did back in the day, like just watching our siblings play. Yeah, it was that. So I went to UCL. I copied my brother, but I studied a hardcore science. So I studied pharmacology. And then from there, I realized I didn't want to work in a lab for my whole life. So I studied law because I was like, oh, you work with people and blah, blah, blah. So I did the conversion degree into law. And then I realized I didn't want to do that. My whole route, by the way, is a process of elimination. So yeah, I did. But like also I commit to things. So I like committed to finishing my degrees, but then I was like, I don't want to do it. Moving on. So I did it.
Yeah.
I didn't qualify as a lawyer. Haven't done my LPC or BPTC. Yeah. So anyway. And then I moved from that into broadcast journalism because I loved being creative and I missed being creative. I mean, you are kind of creative in law. I don't want to insult lawyers, but you know,
some lawyers are very creative.
Real creativity,
maybe too
you know
creative.
What I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Anyway. So I went into, so the logical step. Basically, everything was like a logical process of elimination, just moving step by step. So I moved into broadcast journalism because that's the logical like step into like the creative field from law. That was really fun. I actually really enjoyed that. There's a lot of like transferable skills that come from that as well. So after that, I worked in TV production. That was kind of just like, you know, how careers go in TV and broadcast and that kind of thing. So I worked in TV production, but yeah, for quite a bit. I got into a talent scheme for, you know, people in the background of TV. So writers, producers, like broadcast journalists, that kind of thing. And on that scheme, they take you up to the Edinburgh International TV Festival. And that is where I met someone who worked at MCM Comic-Con. So did a bunch of networking, and he was the head of PR, it turns out, at MCM Comic-Con. So he gave me a job in the press office at Comic-Con, and that's where I kind of was introduced properly to the video games industry. And that's after that, like I worked at a creative agency in the video games industry, and then I went back into TV for a bit, TV production and corporate marketing. And then I came back into the video games industry because I missed it and I loved it. And I was just looking for my way back in, but I didn't know where I fit. You know, that's the thing about the video games industry is
trying to find your role.
There's everything. Yeah, there's just so much that you can do in it, which I had no idea about. Until like the creative agency. But even then you're kind of like on the outside. So you don't really realize, like I didn't realize how many jobs, like how many different jobs you could have a publisher or a developer, right? I only really realized after like when I was looking for a job back in the video games industry. I didn't like speak to my contacts, even though I had a lot of contacts from the creative agency. I just kind of looked, like I was just looking and I was trying to find where I fit in particular, because I don't have like the skill sets of a software engineer or like, I don't know, anything else really in development. I have production skills. I was like, that's what I knew. And I always thought, like, anytime I looked at jobs in like a publisher or developer and stuff like that, it was always like a producer role, right? Not an assistant producer. It was always like a senior producer or this kind of producer or that kind of producer. And I was like, I don't have the experience for that. So maybe I have to build up my experience in the TV industry and then move over. Like maybe that's how it works. Until I found this job. Like this is the first time I was like, oh wow, okay, I fit. I can like still learn in this job, which is a big thing. Like when I first spoke to my now boss about this role, it was like, I want to experience everything, you know, I want to know what I want to do 10 years down the line, but right now I don't know. I was really like honest about it because I was like,
be in that spot where you can grow into the role that you want to ultimately do. Yeah,
exactly. So it's like, I knew I wanted to work in a publisher or a developer or something. I wanted to work in the video games industry. I wanted to be in the industry. I didn't want to work at an agency. I knew that much, and that's all I knew. I was like, I don't know which role I fit in. I don't know where in the industry I fit. Like, I don't know where I'm going to be in 5 to 10 years. And he was like, cool, well, let's figure it out.
Wow. And
So,
like outside of that, was there support? Because you mentioned, you know, at school they don't necessarily have that games path in terms of like I mentioned, sort of family. Was there support? Was there understanding for you, like saying I'm now gonna work in the games industry?
okay, that's a really good question. And I'm glad I gave you my entire history
Yeah.
before now, because it will help me answer that. So I guess because working in the video games industry came later on for me, right? Like in the beginning, when I was at school, my parents' thing was, okay, get a degree, get a good degree. Um, and once you have a degree, you have something to like fall back on or whatever. So then you can move into a creative field, right?
Okay. You have to tick
Um,
that box
so it was
first.
always like do a degree first and then figure it out. Do whatever you want later on down the line, but like right now, get a degree. Like that's what that was. Whereas like I don't know, I guess like if I had started a few years earlier or something, maybe I would be further in my career. But I honestly wouldn't exchange having my degrees for anything. Like I think I have gained so many skills and transferable things that I never would have known if had I not done that. And I also think I'm better at my job because of like my past experiences, not just my
Yeah.
degrees, but also like my
Like
degrees, my
production.
1.5 degree. And then, yeah, like all my experiences, everything I did beforehand, like the corporate marketing I did really helps in this job. Like the TV production helps so much. Even working at Comic-Con, to be honest, that even helped me with this job. I don't think I would be as good in this role had I
Yeah.
not had all of that previous experience.
I get that. I
Yeah.
feel the same because I also I just have one degree, but I did an engineering degree, and then I worked as a software
Yeah.
engineer for a few years, and then now making sort of comics and work with video games, which on the surface is not related, but like you say, you learn things from those other fields that you now bring in, and in some ways you're better for it. In some aspects of what you do because you have that different experience. So I completely understand
Yeah.
that. And I think
And
it's a good
like,
way to convince the parents, get a degree, and then do what you want.
yeah. I mean, also to be like, yeah, I think they just wanted me to have something to fall back on. But I think also it was a lot easier when it comes to video games because it was like I had been through TV and I had been through like other broadcast roles and stuff. So it was easier for them. Like they still don't 100%, I think, understand because like
That's fair.
sometimes they're like, oh yeah, like if you do like marketing and brand, you build up that side of your stuff, you can always like go and work in a different company or in a different industry. You can go work in corporate or something. I'm just like, yeah, but you realize I work at like a AAA like one of the best video games companies in the world.
Yeah.
Do you guys I don't think they quite grasp it. I think
Yeah.
my brother is the only one in my family who really
You
understands.
might
Yeah.
have
Even
some
my
impact
sister
on him.
doesn't.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
speaking of Square Enix and the role that you do now, can you tell us? So, what is an assistant producer like? What do you do?
It's a really good question. I really wish I could answer it, but it's difficult to say because it's just sorry, my hair's stuck. It's just I don't have like a typical day to day, like it's such a varied role. And because I went into it speaking to my my boss about the fact that I want to explore different avenues and I want to know more about like different departments in our team. And like our team is smaller, so it's a lot easier for me to do that and pick up like different roles and different jobs from every different person, right? But there are like two main people who I work very closely with. I work with our senior producers and I work with our director of brand, so brand director. So for me personally in this job, there is obviously a lot of production. So that could be anything from like finance stuff to legal stuff to like just it's basically talking to 1,000 people a day. Just like constantly trying to like wrangle different people, liaise with different departments, trying to get things done. That's basically what a producer is, right? Like getting things done.
When you say get things done, like I guess ultimately like make the game to budget on time, that kind of thing. So it's like you're speaking to different people to get them to do their part so that ultimately the game comes out.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like it's the organization basically of a game, right? Like, and it's getting made and stuff. It's like it's exactly what you said. Getting things made like on time and like to budget and like everything like that. It's like just managing everything, which is very, very cool. So yeah, I was senior producers with that stuff. And then on the other side of things, I am exploring like brand. So I work very closely with our brand director to basically deal with all of the marketing of our game or games. I can't really say. And also like in terms of brand, it's like managing, the actual brand. I don't know how to say that in a better way because it's just like
the brand that is Square Enix or the game
brand the one or more games for example, we just announced our Tomb Raider Reloaded mobile game, right? So with that, it's like the Tomb Raider brand. So it's not just our games brand, it's like the franchise's brand, like within the context of our game, right? So it's like, liaising with different people. A lot of my job is liaising with a lot of people.
Cool. So you were speaking about some of the roles that you've done previously and some of the skills that you've had to develop. So what are some of those skills that you've picked up from other areas that you use in your work now?
I would say one of the biggest skills that I picked up from before that I use a lot now is like the way I speak to different types of people. So like just my interpersonal skills, like how to handle different personalities and things like that. Like that is something I think the more that you work, the more you will be able to like understand and more you'll be able to like pick up about people. Is just like everyone works in different ways, right? Yes. So yeah, that's a massive thing, especially as a producer, you really, really need to know. Also like it's just all the transferable skills, like time management and like, just like everything like that. And just like being able to pick up different software really quickly as well. That's like something, I mean, I don't know if it's a transferable skill, whether I've just picked it up from like the millions of jobs that I've done. Because every time I start a new job, they're like, oh, have you used this? I'm like, no. I don't know any software. Literally, when I started this job, I had never used like a bunch of software that they use, right? Like, or any of the software that they use actually. Yeah. So like all of that I had to pick up. And then, the thing is also as a producer, like people might just ask you how to use things. So I'm like constantly learning how to like do different things in the context of all this different software. Like talking to IT constantly about how to like fix things and change things and whatever. It's like, that's another thing, is just like picking up all the little things, Yeah. It's very, lots of details as well.
I'm glad you said it because like you've kind of hit on those non-technical skills. And I think for a lot of times people think like you need to be super technical to work in games. But one, you don't. And even if you are, it's actually those like you say, those interpersonal skills, like how do you work with other people to get the job done, to use that cliche. So I think that's a good thing to pick up on. And I've certainly learned it. Like I did a technical degree, but that only takes you so far, because at the end of the day, you've got to work with other people. So it's how do you work with other people effectively? So
yeah, exactly.
So I wanted to go back off what you were saying about the advice for people, particularly those people who are underrepresented in the industry. And one of the things that I find when working with young people, so I do workshops with like young people as young as 8, sometimes up to like 16, 17. And when you have sort of young people who do want to work in the industry, that's great. That's kind of what we want. But then when you get parents who don't understand like the games industry as a career, that can kill a lot of enthusiasm. So what do you think can be done to help parents understand that games is a valid industry and a valid career choice? Like, what do you think? What would have helped with your parents?
That's genuinely a really hard question, because it's like
I know. I need help.
I don't. Yeah, I'm trying to think what would help with my parents. I was about to say my age. I'm older now, right? And my parents are still like, you can use this. This is a great experience, instead of like, oh, this is a great career path you're on. I think to get them to understand, it depends, what do people want from life, it depends on like you yourself. Like, are you willing to like wait and like have them satisfied with you having a degree and stuff like that, and then move into like whatever job you want? That's the route that I took, right? And I'm very happy with that route. Like, maybe there are people who are ahead of me who are the same age as me, but frankly, I think that I'm finding it easier to progress just because like I had that other experience, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if that comes across like I think you should definitely have a degree in life, because I know like a lot of people in this industry don't. But the problem is a lot of people do, right?
Yeah,
like, especially in the video games industry, especially like, I don't know, esports is a bit different, but like in the video games industry, I think most people I've spoken to have a degree. They went down that traditional route of like, studying first and then moving on to whatever job they're doing.
And to be fair, there are more of those traditional routes through university into games now. There's a lot of universities doing games course, so that is a valid route.
Yeah.
I guess it's like the understanding of there are other routes as well.
I think the thing is, well, the experience that I have with my parents, for example, is just like talking to them about what I want, really. Like, I know, and that's not really an option for everyone, right? It's not. Some people's parents don't understand as much, right? So for them, I would say, I don't think there is a way to just convince your parents that it's okay.
Maybe there's not,
Genuinely, I don't know. I don't know. Like, how do you, like, I guess you could put a portfolio together of like cool people from the industry who did really well, and like whether they have a degree or not, I don't know. Was it the degree thing? I focused in on that. I feel like I honed in on that, and I don't know whether that's the question you were asking.
Well, I guess it depends on, I guess, your experience and your perspective, because like you say, for you and for me as well, I got a degree and I worked in an industry that is much more known. I guess like software engineering, people know what that is. But yeah, there's other ways. It is a tough one.
I mean, it's things like, the games industry is more profitable than the film and TV industry, and is it the music industry as well? Yeah. So it's like that kind of thing. I mean, that's way more interesting than the fact that like, I mean, there are definitely, I think, personalities out there. They're obviously not as big as like Brad Pitt and stuff. Yeah. But I'm so sorry, I forgot to mute my laptop. But anyway, the point is that, I think I'm not sure having like personalities as much would convince parents. The thing is that it's different now, right? Because like video games is so huge. It's the same way like social media is huge now. Whereas like, I think like 10 years ago, or like, was it like 10 years ago maybe, that like I wanted to start doing YouTube, and my parents were like, no, you're not doing YouTube. That's like, you're putting your face out there for the world. No one needs to see that. That kind of thing. Like it was different back then. Whereas like now, my dad's on Twitter, he's constantly posting, So it's like, it's I think it changes with time. I think like when it comes to like our generations having kids and stuff, it's gonna be fine. Like no one's gonna care if you go into video games or TV or social media or whatever, because it's like it's a normal career path as well now. It's just the fact that like for our generations it was like growing at the time and it wasn't a really viable career option. That would like people didn't know how to make money through it and stuff like that. Whereas like now you can. I guess that's more social media than video games, though. But video games, I think, is becoming more prominent now.
Yeah. So
do you know what I mean?
It might just be a factor of time. Like as it becomes more known and more acceptable, then So maybe that's it.
Give your parents time, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe some people don't have time, though. That's the problem. Like they want to be in video games now.
Yeah. I get that.
What do you tell them? What's our advice? Oh my God.
So I'll tell you my answer. Well, I guess my answer is things like this. So what we're trying to do is create this event like with GamePad and some of the other stuff we're doing. Is so our brand is like family friendly. And the event is family friendly, so it's something that like kids. And when we were doing a physical event, like we get young people and parents come. The reason why I want to do these kind of like interviews and panels that we do is so we can help demystify a lot of the industry for people in general, but also for parents. Because I feel that sometimes you have to approach it in a careful way, because like, for example, we don't have like Call of Duty. Nothing wrong with Call of Duty. I played a lot of Call of Duty, but we never had it at our event, because if we show that and then a parent like sees it, then that kind of fits with their stereotype of what they think like games is all like shooting and blood and guns, and it's not. So in a way, we've kind of shaped an event where they can be part of it and say, oh, okay, here's some other stuff that goes beyond the stereotype. And I think that kind of will help I hope it will help anyway. That's my plan.
Yeah, just play Fall Guys and Among Us the whole time.
Exactly.
That would be
the solution.
I think that keeps us safe. PG for parents.
Yeah.
Is Among Us PG? There's a lot of killing, I guess, in it.
Yeah, sabotage.
I don't know.
I don't know. But there are games that fit for that. So I wanted to ask you about, because you mentioned Tomb Raider, and like speaking of, because Tomb Raider is sort of, that broke into the mainstream, and people, even if you don't play the game, I think you might understand what it is, and Lara Croft. Like, how does that feel, like working on such a kind of, I don't even know what the word is, like such a big franchise, long running franchise in video games, especially for a completely different platform than we might be used to?
Yeah. It's a good question. It's very cool. So like as soon as I found out that like we were working on a Tomb Raider game, I was like, oh, amazing. Because everyone knows who Lara Croft is, right?
Yeah.
Like even if you don't play video games, like parents probably still know who Tomb Raider is. Like my parents knew who Tomb Raider was. So that was like, it was cool being able to work on such a like big brand. It's very different working, I think, in mobile, but also it's like, okay, so like 100% all of the credit goes to like the big boss, obviously. So Ed Perkins is our like main, department.
Ed, I think.
Team's like team leader.
Yeah.
What do you call him? He's like head of, director of, oh my God, I've forgotten his title. He's director of mobile publishing, I think. I think that's his title. And then like our brand director, Natalia Chubin, that's easier because it's just brand director. So they are very cool. They're the ones who really like manage the brand and make sure we're being like authentic. I hate using like buzzwords like authenticity and like that kind of thing, but like that's really the only word for it, is like making sure that we are doing like the right stuff for the brand, right? And then obviously like I don't know how much people know about like the ins and outs of like the Tomb Raider brand, but obviously there's like a lot of speaking with other teams to make sure like everything is authentic. for lack of a better word.
Yeah, I get what you're saying,
And it fits Lara Croft, right?
Exactly, yeah.
It's
with things
a
like that,
big
there's an expectation.
responsibility.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Mhm.
It must be cool, though.
Yeah, like it's very cool just because it is such a big brand, right? It's such a cool thing, but it's also like, yeah, there is a lot of like responsibility because you want it to be good for the fans, but also you want to make a good game, and also it's your own game, right? So it's like you don't want it to be the same as
I totally
the
get
others.
that.
And obviously mobile can't be the same as console. It's completely different. It's a completely different platform. It's a completely different audience. Like everything is very, very unique in mobile.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. If anyone ever wants to go into like mobile production or like mobile brand and stuff like that, that's a very, very specific route. And I think there might be less people who are, who have that experience. So it's probably like good place to go.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think, because when we were looking for like specific, I don't remember what role it was, but we were looking for a specific role, and there were just a lot less people who had that mobile experience. So it's always, it's always good to have something that other people don't have, gives you a leg up.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, especially as games, is still growing, so there are still more opportunities like to come. Yeah, that makes sense. So like looking forward and into 2021, obviously 2020 was a mad year, but we did get a new generation of consoles. So the question I always like to ask people: so Xbox or PlayStation or mobile? Do you have to say mobile, like contractually?
I have to say mobile. I do play a lot of mobile games. Such a dork. I've been playing mobile. Like mobile games are so easy. It's so accessible. They're just constantly there. So I'm like always playing. Like I've been playing. I don't know if I can probably just say. I've been playing obviously I've been playing our game, but I also have been playing, which isn't out yet. But I've been playing like Roller Coaster Tycoon and like Fallout. Shelter and things like that on my mobile recently. But I also play like Boggle on my mobile with like other people. It's really dumb games. But apart from mobile, am I can I pick a console? Is that bad? I don't know whether you're supposed to do that. I have a lot of friends at PlayStation, so I think I have to pick PlayStation anyway.
Okay.
Like if I were to buy an Xbox Series X or a PlayStation 5, I'd pick PS5.
Okay. No, there's no wrong answer. I like throwing the question out.
Anyway.
I know. Yeah, me too.
I'm scared to commit to one of them because I'm like, then the other, what if I have friends at Xbox too, Microsoft.
See, and this is why I asked the question last, so that people can at least hear what you have to say before they completely disregard you because they don't like your console choice. That's why I do it. So, but I would also go with PlayStation.
You're just trying to get us in trouble.
Yes, no, that is what I'm doing. I like asking that question and see how people will respond to it. So thank you.
To be fair, I don't have a preference either or. I just feel like
playing games.
Yeah.
So I've got a Switch as well.
Yeah.
So it's not.
That's such a cop-out answer, isn't it? Oh, I don't have a Switch.
Oh, you don't? You should get one.
Yeah, I've heard it's good. Like everyone on our team has one. I'm like, oh, do I need one? I guess I have to if I want to play games with other people. It's so hard to find good I mean, okay, I'm going to backtrack and take back my PC and not my PC, my PS4. I'm going to take back my PlayStation versus Xbox thing because I'm a PC gamer. So technically I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. I literally don't. I play on PC. That's it. Yeah. Sorry.
Fair enough. No, that's cool.
Yeah. I mean, I've played. Have you played Detroit Become Human?
No,
I love story games, like interactive story games. I love them. They're so fun.
Yeah.
I loved that game. I know.
Okay. You recommend it?
Not that many people love these kind of games, but after I finished that game. Yeah, after I finished that game, I was just sad for several days because I don't know what to do now.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
I don't know whose life to control because mine's in chaos. So, whose
Okay,
life?
well, good luck with Last of Us Part 2 then, because I know you're playing that. So that will, come back to me after you finish
Am
that.
I allowed to spoiler it? Because I just watched somebody die and it was very upsetting.
Ooh. No, we're going to avoid spoilers, but we did do a
Okay.
spoiler-filled podcast if people want to check that out. But just in case anyone watching hasn't yet played it, because that is definitely an experience worth
Like me.
experiencing for the first time in that. So cool. All right, I've
Yeah.
asked the console war question, but other than that, thank you for joining me. As I said, it's always good to hear people's perspective, and I think for yourself, like you said, you're someone who's taken a non-traditional route, but I think that's good to hear, particularly for young people who don't know, who might not necessarily know how to get in the games industry and might think there's only one path. You're someone who's shown that there are many paths and many ways to get to where you want to get to.
Get there eventually.
Yeah. So no, thank you. I appreciate that. One last question is, where can people find you, since you did mention Twitter and LinkedIn? So can you help us out with some networking?
Okay, so my Twitter is at Shanzay U. It's just the letter U. And my LinkedIn is Shanzay Usama. You can probably just search me. I don't know how many Shanzay Usamas are out there. And then I have an Instagram, but I archived all my pictures. But it's Shanzay_U, if anyone, and just the letter U again. So if anyone wants to look me up, if more people follow me, maybe I'll post. Follow me on Twitch. Just
that too.
Do Twitch and Twitter. Those are the two things I use.
Okay, all right.
My Twitch is linked on my Twitter. I want to make affiliate eventually. I stopped streaming ages ago, but maybe I'll stream if someone follows me.
Us too. We need more people to follow us, so we'll follow each other, and then at least it goes up by one. So we got that.
Yeah, let's do that.
Cool. And thank you for watching. So this has been one of a series of interviews that I do with people in the games industry to give people an insight into how it works and the type of people that are making the games that we play. So if you enjoyed this, please subscribe to our YouTube, all that kind of thing. We also have a Discord which you can jump into and continue the conversation. What's the other thing I need to remember to mention? Oh yes, our next GamePad event. You can find out the date of that at GamePad.events. We're now bringing up doing more activities with our Twitch and in the Discord community, so definitely stick around for that. And if you are not yet tired of hearing my voice, you can also check out our podcast, Story X Story, where we talk about stories across pop culture, including video games, and we also do sort of interviews like that. So we've got season 3 that is coming back for February, so we'll have more episodes from there, but you can subscribe and check out all the things that we've done previous to now. So that is our episode. Our email address is gamepad@mayamada.com. You can always send us feedback the old-fashioned way. Other than that, stay tuned, stick around, and we will have more interviews for you soon. Take care, everyone. Hey there, I'm Nigel from mayamada. Thanks for watching our video. Don't forget to subscribe and check out the other great videos we have on the channel. You can also join the GamePad Discord and check out the next event at gamepad.events. We'll see you soon.